Have you ever been in a relationship that felt overwhelming, almost like a drug? You feel alive, intensely drawn to this person, but also anxious, unsteady, and sometimes even lost. It feels like love, so deep, so undeniable. Yet something about it leaves you hollow, confused, and quietly suffering. What if I told you what you're calling love is actually unresolved trauma? What if these intense connections you keep chasing are not about love at all, but about something deeper? A need you've carried since childhood, a wound you never realized was still open. In today's video, we're going to unpack this through psychology and philosophy. We'll break down attachment theory, trauma bonds, and the patterns that trap us in toxic relationships. And more importantly, how you can finally start to see it for what it really is. Let's start with something called attachment theory. This is a psychological framework that explains how the bonds we form as children with our caregivers shape the way we connect with others as adults. Psychologists John Bowlby and Mary Ainsworth identified 4 major attachment styles. 1. Secure attachment. People who feel safe, connected, and trusting in relationships. 2. Anxious attachment. People who fear abandonment, crave closeness, and often feel insecure. 3. Avoidant attachment. People who withdraw, fear intimacy, and keep their distance. 4. Disorganized attachment. People who experience a confusing mix of anxiety and avoidance, often rooted in trauma or neglect. These patterns are not random. They come from how our earliest emotional needs were either met or left unmet. As children, we adapt to our environment. If love was inconsistent, conditional, or painful, we grow up believing that's what love feels like. Even as adults, we unconsciously seek out relationships that mirror those early dynamics, because what's familiar feels safe, even if it's unhealthy. Now, we understand what exactly is a trauma bond. It's an intense emotional connection with someone, not based on trust, safety, or genuine care, but rooted in cycles of pain, neglect, or emotional highs and lows. It's the kind of relationship that leaves you chasing validation, trapped in fear, and constantly doubting yourself, while believing you can't live without them. One thing about trauma bonds is that they often involve intermittent reinforcement, moments of intense affection followed by distance, criticism, or neglect. This creates a cycle where the brain becomes addicted to the unpredictability, confusing anxiety and tension with passion. How do you know you're in a trauma bond? You feel anxious or unsteady when they're not around. You keep justifying harmful or neglectful behavior. You confuse intensity with intimacy. You fear losing them more than you value your peace. Philosophers have reflected on this too. Nietzsche spoke about the idea of eternal recurrence, the way we unconsciously repeat the same patterns over and over, as if trapped in a cycle. Schopenhauer described how much of human suffering is tied to desire, and how we chase things not because they heal us, but because we believe they will fill an emptiness. Simone de Beauvoir once said, "We are not born lovers, we become them through experience. And often, those experiences are shaped by pain we haven't yet resolved." Here's the hard truth. We're not always drawn to what's good for us. We're often drawn to what's familiar. If, in your early life, love meant having to earn approval, walking on eggshells, or chasing after someone emotionally unavailable, that's what will feel like love to you now. Your brain associates emotional chaos with meaning, mistaking anxiety for excitement. Why does this happen? It's because of something psychologists call repetition compulsion, a subconscious drive to repeat past emotional situations in the hope of mastering them. In other words, you keep choosing what hurt you, hoping this time it'll feel different. There's also a biological side to this. The hormonal rushes you feel in toxic relationships. Dopamine spikes from fleeting affection, cortisol from conflict, adrenaline from emotional unpredictability. They create an addictive cycle. It feels like love, but it's not love. It's survival. It's your nervous system chasing something it was programmed to seek, long before you could even understand what it meant. So, what can you do about it? The first step is self-awareness. Start by asking yourself, what kind of love feels familiar to me? Am I drawn to people who make me feel safe, or people who keep me guessing? Do I confuse emotional intensity with connection? Learning about your attachment style is a crucial part of this. Recognizing how your past shaped your present doesn't mean blaming others. It means finally seeing your patterns clearly. Creating space between stimulus and response, learning to sit with discomfort instead of chasing it. Choosing relationships that offer safety, consistency, and respect, even if they feel unfamiliar at first. Setting boundaries where you once had none. Philosopher Carl Jung said, "Until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life and you will call it fate." The work is not easy, but it's necessary. It means letting go of the illusion that love has to hurt. It means embracing the quiet, steady presence of people who don't trigger your wounds, but hold space for your healing. So if there's one thing I want you to take away from this, it's that much of what we mistake for love is actually unresolved trauma. The relationships we cling to out of fear, the people we chase even when they break us down, they don't hold the love we need. They reflect the wounds we haven't yet acknowledged, and healing begins the moment you stop calling pain love. When you stop seeking validation in places that only leave you empty. When you start choosing peace over chaos, presence over absence, safety over intensity. Take a moment today and ask yourself, is this person making me feel safe, valued, and truly seen? Or am I chasing a ghost of something I lost a long time ago? Thank you for watching. If this resonated with you, feel free to share your thoughts in the comments.